Hey guys, so I just made a video about how rinsing your hair is your #1 defense against getting a buildup in your dreads. And now I wanted to make a video kind of talking about what we should and shouldn't be putting in our dreads, mostly focusing on what products shouldn't go in your dreads. So the first thing that comes to mind is wax. Wax is a controversial topic in the dreading community. And I personally am not for it or against it. I don't use wax on my own hair, and I wouldn't use it on anyone's hair who I did work on their dreads or I made their dreads, for the simple fact that it's easy to use too much wax. If you use too much, it can make kind of a mess and not be very nice. It costs a little bit. A jar of wax typically runs $20 based on the websites I've seen, and that's kind of a little expensive, and it's hard to get out sometimes. It can come out. A lot of companies state that their wax will come out with washing, and I assume that's because it melts out of your hair with a elevated temperature of the shower. And finally, you don't need wax in any way, shape, or form for your hair to lock up beautifully. I've never used wax on my dreads, and my dreads are about this long. My extensions are pretty long, but I've never used wax on my dreads, and they've locked up beautifully every time. So wax, it can be good for some people. Some people like to use it and choose to use it. For myself, I choose not to use it, and you're not required to use it or not use it. It's just a personal preference that I have a slightly negative view about. So I hope that was objective enough. So there's that. You can choose to put wax in your hair or not. I'm a little bit against it. The next things we can talk about are, sticky hair products that people put in their hair on their brushable hair but shouldn't be used for your dreads. Things like hair gel, hairspray, or other sticky hair products that are actually meant for human hair are not very good for dreads. While they probably can be rinsed out, if they accumulate over time or if you don't rinse them well enough, they can probably accumulate themselves in the cores of your dreads and just hang out there and be weird. So it's better to never use hair gel or hairspray in your dreads. You don't need it. Your hair is already cool enough, so don't put sticky human hair products into your dreads. It's something you shouldn't do. The next thing I want to talk about are certain ingredients that you should avoid putting into your dreads. This applies to all hair textures. There are certain moisturizing products for hair that contain petroleum as a #1 ingredient. You should avoid putting petroleum products into your hair. It can, I guess petroleum products have the effect that they prevent skin from shedding naturally, so if you put it on your lips or something, it holds in moisture, but it also prevents the skin from shedding naturally. I put it on my lips, but I wouldn't put it in my hair. Avoid petroleum products for your dreads. Other things you might want to avoid for your dreads are things that, like lock peppa that is sold from some website. You don't want to be putting powders into your dreads, because when you put the powder in and you palm roll your dread or you do whatever with it, it can work its way into the core, and typically powders like this are not water soluble, so they probably won't rinse out when you wash your hair. So you want to avoid putting powders and stuff like that in your hair. I've heard other products with the main ingredient being cornstarch, something like that. You definitely don't want to put cornstarch in your locks. It's if you've seen cornstarch and water interacting, they make this very strange fluid. It's non-Newtonian. It's totally fun to play with, but probably not something you would want to put into your dreads. That said, I did do the color run where they say that their color packets are made with a cornstarch-based color powder. That's what they say. I don't know what it is, but they threw them. My hair was full of it. I could shake it and powder would fall out. And that did completely rinse out of my hair. So it's kind of iffy on the powder, but really, if you can put something in your hair that might get stuck, you should probably avoid putting it into your dreads, as it's unnecessary. So let's see, petroleum, cornstarch, other ingredients like that. Also, if you find moisturizing products that have alcohol in them, it could be isopropyl alcohol or some other alcohol listed in the ingredients. If you use those repeatedly, it can have an effect of drying out your hair. So if you're looking for a moisturizing product and it has alcohol in it, you might want to try to find a different moisturizing product. That said, I do spray a body spray into my dreads, and its main ingredients are water and alcohol. It doesn't have a big effect, but you know, if you want to stay on the safe side, avoid products that contain a lot of alcohol in them. It can dry out your hair. Finally, I want to talk about weird little food products people have this weird desire to put into their hair. There's some strange phenomena in the dreads in the locked hair community where people want to so desperately put something that's natural into their hair, or something that's not available in the drugstore, and it's not buying some product to put in your hair, but rather putting something natural into your hair. And I'm here to tell you that generally, please don't put food products into your dreads. Don't put eggs in your dreads. Don't put honey in your dreads. Don't put mayonnaise in your dreads. Don't put like cooking oils in your dreads. I am not sure about using olive oil, but I know people use other moisturizing oils in their dreads, like jojoba oil, peppermint oil, dilute tea tree oil. These things can help your hair, and these things have been demonstrated to work on hair. So you can use those, but you don't want to use, lard or any of these weird, strange products for your locked hair, because it's locked and it's harder to get things out once you put them in. So be wary of that. I recently was almost arguing with someone who really wanted to wash their hair with honey, and they said that honey is antifungal and antibacterial, which it is, but the reason this is because honey has such densely packed sugar that it sucks the water out of any bacteria or anything that comes close to it and kills it. That's why it's effective. When you dilute honey, it erases this property. It's dilute, the sugar isn't tightly packed enough, so the osmotic effect of that isn't going to work anymore. So if you dilute honey, it's not going to be antibacterial and antifungal anymore. Also, they claimed that if you boil honey, it erases the stickiness of honey, and that's not true. You still have honey molecules in there, and once it's going to be sticky. It's like making sugar water. Sugar water is sticky, honey water is sticky. You don't want to put sticky things like that in your hair. If you want moisturizing products, conditioners from the drugstore work just fine. Jojoba oil, tea tree oil, peppermint oil, people use all of these things with great success. But generally, you don't want to put food products into your dreads. And I've had ants in my house, and I couldn't even imagine putting honey in my hair or something that ants would like to eat and be attracted to it. It seems like it could just be a nightmare. I've also seen videos from Damian Walter, who's an amazing loctician on YouTube. He has had to get honey out of people's locks that just had honey slathered into their hair. You don't want to do that. And finally, when you're starting your dreads, especially, folks who start with afro-textured hair, kinky hair, can sometimes start with a little bit of product. They'll start with some water and a little bit of light gel mixture, and they'll make comb coils. And that helps hold the comb coils together for the initial period of time, but they don't use heavy product, they don't use a lot of it, and it's just to help them get started up. If you don't have afro-textured hair, or you're not setting up comb coils, you probably shouldn't be putting any gel, nothing sticky into your hair when you start your dreads. When I started my dreads, I used zero product, and that is going to be your general rule for making dreads, especially if you do twist and rip method, back combing method, back combing with crochet hooking, or any mixture of the above. For these methods, you're not going to want to start your dreads with product. For comb coils and two-strand twists, sometimes people use product, but that's very specific to the hair texture and the technique. So yeah, I hope this video has covered a wide range of things that you probably shouldn't put in your hair, and I hope it's been helpful to you. So thanks for watching and have a nice day.